Now we got to have another conversation. So this news came out yesterday. I promise I have a lot to say here. I promise I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay on topic. It came out yesterday that Grand Canyon University and a good MPSF men's volleyball program in Phoenix came out yesterday that they're cutting their men's volleyball program. So I'm going to read for you the announcement from their university's athletic department that came out yesterday, like Monday, April 28th.
This breaks my heart.
Grand Canyon University announced the discontinuation of its varsity men's volleyball program after 17 years following the end of the team's season last week. Men's volleyball will continue to be offered as a club sport at GCU. In a rapidly evolving college athletics landscape, GCU is constantly evaluating how it can best position itself as a Division I athletic department and a university. The move will allow GCU to focus on supporting its remaining 20 athletic programs at the highest levels in their respective conferences. Men's volleyball is currently sponsored by 27 of more than 360 Division I institutions and no current members of the Mountain West Conference, which is where GCU plays their other sports. GCU is committed to providing support services to its impacted student athletes. Those wishing to finish their academic careers at GCU will be able to do so at their existing athletic scholarship levels. The university also offers one of the nation's most robust club sports programs that includes men's volleyball. Those wishing to transfer to other institutions will receive assistance and support in doing so. First and foremost, I want to apologize to several people. First is Matt Worley. I want to apologize to Matt Worley. He was the National Coach of the Year last year for GCU. He helped build up this program to where last year they received the #1 ranking in the country for a brief period of time. They went to the national semifinal. They were a 5th set away from going to the national final. And then Matt Worley this season, mid-season, left that program to go take the assistant coach job for the Kansas women. And I was hard on that situation at the time. Obviously, he is making a lot more money at Kansas. He got out at the exact right time.
He must have known.
I do not think that he knew.
I think how did he not know?
So if Matt Worley had known that this program was about to get killed, then he wouldn't have just left. Everybody, every incoming recruit, every current player, every current coach, like everybody would have known. If Matt Worley even had a clue that the program was about to be axed by the athletic department, he would have morally, and I know that he would have done this, he would have prepared the people that would have been affected such that they wouldn't have found out yesterday. Everybody found out yesterday. There was an optional meeting between the current GCU athletes and the athletic department yesterday to announce this. There was no publication or information to the incoming committed recruits that were signed to play for GCU next year. It is basically May. They were starting school in August. Those kids now have to find a new university to go to. Nobody knew about this until yesterday, including Matt Worley. It just happened that the university supported Matt Worley and his program so poorly that he had no choice but to leave in the middle of the season. And I am happy for him because he's a great coach that he has found an outstanding opportunity and he didn't get caught up in this utter disaster. So to Matt Worley, for anything that I said when he left, I apologize to him and I thank him for his support, and I'm happy for the opportunity that he got. I apologize to the current student athletes and coaches. You deserve better. You deserve better. You and this program at Grand Canyon have deserved better from the beginning. This program put this university on the map. Men's volleyball getting to #1 in the country for GCU last year, that is the only time, the only sport for which that will ever happen to Grand Canyon University. I don't care what sport it is. I don't care where that sport sits in the hierarchy of NCAA sports. Grand Canyon in any sport will never be as relevant again as their men's volleyball team was last year. And any functioning university that caught that level of lightning in a bottle, despite their lack of support of it, any functioning university would lean into that. they would do everything they could to maximize that greatness that you have, no matter how irrelevant the sport or the program. Any functioning university should lean into that as hard as possible. Make Grand Canyon men's volleyball a thing. Make it a thing that everybody in Arizona, everybody in Phoenix, everybody on campus knows about and goes to and supports, because they have an actual chance to win a national championship. That will never happen again at that university. Never. There are a couple other details about this that are important. First of all, this is the only sport that Grand Canyon is cutting. When Stanford announced that they were cutting men's volleyball and back in like the pandemic times, and then the alumni were able to pull off a miracle and save it, that was one of several of Stanford's like million sports that they sponsor, one of several sports that went on the chopping block that the alumni were able to save. Men's volleyball is the only sport that Grand Canyon is eliminating right now. And it happens to be the one where they were the most nationally relevant.
It to me is clearly that like you can't get rid of any women's sports because then you're not Title IX compliant.
So they now Grand Canyon has 11 women's sports and 9 men's sports. Before they eliminated men's volleyball, they had 11 women's sports and 10 men's sports.
Do they have football?
No.
Oh, okay.
So
because that's because it's like it doesn't come down to the amount of athletes, but the amount of scholarship opportunities. And like football always takes up so many.
Right.
So that
which is why so many schools that have men's volleyball programs don't have football, like Loyola, like a lot of the East Coast. But the fact that they decided that the one program that they need to cut in order to save money, if that's the case, if that's why they're doing this, the one program they need to cut is their most successful, is crazy to me. The other thing that's important to know about Grand Canyon University is that they are a publicly traded for-profit business.
I know where you're going with this.
This is so like, I don't know of any other universities with like actual campuses and athletic departments and like real college experiences are for-profit publicly traded businesses. There are a handful of these that are like remote only, like online degrees, which GCU has a ton of online programs. But I don't know of anybody with like an actual real athletic department that's a publicly traded for-profit company. That I don't understand the dynamic of that and how that affects all this, but it affects it somehow. It also enables the public to go and do whatever you want with Grand Canyon stock.
Short that stock.
We are not financial advisors, but you have an ability to affect the bottom line of Grand Canyon University because they're publicly traded. So just put that on the record.
I think for me, Rob, and obviously it's a little bit different from me coming as a Canadian. Someone posted recently that like over 50% of youth sports schools support men's volleyball, and it's like 7% of NCAA schools support men's volleyball. So it is a bit of a different situation. But I do think that there's this weird dichotomy within this sport at the moment where if you're looking at like what First Point has been doing and the growth that we're seeing on the men's high school side, on the boys' high school side is actually pretty like tremendous. When you look at how First Point has been like the reason that we have essentially this DEI scenario in the NCAA tournament where these nothing D2 conferences are able to get spots is because of like the good work that First Point and the community at large is putting behind men's volleyball. But I think
created so many opportunities, like
opportunities.
High school, men's NAIA, men's NCAA Division III, NCAA Division II. So many opportunities have been created that things are moving along. Men's volleyball is the fastest growing sport in America, but at the Division I level,
nothing. And this is where I really think that, and now this is just going to be a nice little shout out to our good friend John Spera, that like I've seen him attacking things, like just recently, I think today, like the SAV announced that like April Ross is going to be joining the beach national team coaching program. Under what capacity, I don't know, but like you're bringing in a fucking gold medalist and one of the best players ever. Like they are making moves, and like you can see, like even in terms of like Matt Houlihan was complaining about babies on bench. He gets a call from John Spera, like, "Hey, we're gonna make this happen." Spera is making this happen. On the women's side, we're often seeing like an AVCA. What what's the convention going on at the same time? Does the same thing happen with the men's? Is there an
No,
ABCA?
the ABC
Because
convention is once a year, and it's at the women's Final Four. So there's men's, there's beach, there's all sorts, there's first point, there's all sorts of
so
activity at that event, but it's in December.
so to me, this is a call out to the American fans to get behind this shit. Like, get behind your sport. Come together. Like there's so many people now out there with voices, and you can't say necessarily that, like, for a long time men's volleyball hasn't had a voice, and obviously our voice out there isn't as big, but we have people with voices. And if you have the ability to come together and start supporting these championships, like, the best, you know what the best way to support this championship is? Pack the fucking shit out of OSU
Yep.
in 2 weeks time.
Go put your
go
buttons.
to go to the matches, watch the streams, support the sport, support the game. And the reality is, and this is going to be a message directly to Americans, you guys are losing. Like, in the overall volleyball world, you guys are losing. Your number one product, the reason that it is the best that it is because of internationals. I'm sorry to tell you, right? Every single one of these teams is because of international players are doing it. You need to start investing in yourselves, right? And I know that that's probably a message that's happening on a lot of levels for you guys right now, but specifically men's volleyball, invest in your own, support your own, go see it, go support it, watch it, talk about it, right? Like, it's so wild to me as like someone from the outside of the States to watch, like, the cognitive dissonance. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I really know, because if you're watching this show, like, you fucking care. But it's so crazy to watch, to, like, be on Volley Talk or on Reddit, or even within our own Discord, or like anything on social media, and watch the Discord amongst American fans, where you guys think that you guys are just so perfect, and your shits don't stink. Like, your sport is falling apart. And it is your sport. You guys invented this sport, right? You guys invented this sport, and you support it worse than Indonesia. Fuck, worse than Kenya. Like, Kenya has pro leagues. I'm sorry, like, this is the fucking reality. So now you guys need to make it an actual movement and get behind your sport as a collective. As a collective, get behind your sport. And that includes beach. That includes indoor. That includes the national teams. Start caring about volleyball, please.
Well said. Yeah, if the way to make people, like important people, the NCAA, Division I universities, the way to make them turn their eyes towards men's volleyball is for a greater number of people to care actively, and to care with their wallets. I think in American volleyball fans are expecting to get everything for free. We have people in the Discord who refuse to pay $5 a month for ESPN Plus to watch any games, when the streaming numbers of college men's volleyball games matter tremendously. Nobody wants to go to a game and pay $10 for a ticket. You can't get things for free. You can't make changes for free. You need to support this thing actively and with your checkbooks for any change to be noticed above that. So that's one message. A couple there.
Can I back that up a little
Yeah.
bit? You know what fucking pisses me off the most, Rob? Is that back in 2010, I started listening to a little podcast called The Net Live. Kevin Barnett, DJ Roche, Reed Pretty, originally Dan Madden. It was the basis of, like, well, listening to The Net Live made me want to work in volleyball. And this is the exact same goddamn conversations we were having around this 15 years ago. And you could make the fucking argument that we were in a better spot 15 fucking years ago. There was more NCAA teams.
Yeah, we had more programs. We had Pacific. We had Cal Baptist. We had Grand Canyon in their second year. With, like, that's the thing that's the most heartbreaking about this. People who are not American don't understand how difficult it is in this country to get anything done in men's volleyball. You really don't understand the disparity that there is in this country for men's versus women's volleyball. Volleyball is the most gender equitable sport on the planet, everywhere except here. The opportunities available for girls and women to play volleyball at the high school level, at the junior club level, at the university level, and now very recently the pro level in the United States outnumber those of the men's by orders of magnitude. It's not close. Hundreds of times more opportunities, thousands of times more at the high school level, infinitely more opportunities at the pro level. 2, 3, going on 4 leagues compared to 0 that actually have money.
Some of that, like a lot of that is like supply and demand, though, right? Like the reality is that
the reason why there's supply is because the opportunities exist. We can't build supply where there is no opportunities.
Supply right now, it wouldn't fill out. Right, like if you told every single Division I university like tomorrow to make a mandate, like you need to support men's volleyball, like men's volleyball would be an absolute joke.
Yeah, of course. That's not what I'm saying. It's not about the NCAA. Less than half of the states in America, it is possible to play for your high school as a boy on your volleyball team.
But like
goes back to insane.
It goes back to the exact same conversation that they were having 15 years ago on the Net Live about how the Title IX, like one of the biggest losers within Title IX has to be men's volleyball.
It's the number one loser within Title IX.
The number one loser within Title IX has to be men's volleyball. But I do want to say one thing about that, and that is a call out to our women's volleyball players and fans, right? I don't know of I know very few men's volleyball fans who won't support women's volleyball. They may not watch it and they may not follow it, but if they have an opportunity to go to a women's volleyball game, they are there because they're fans of the sport. I know this for a fact that it is much, much, much harder to get women's players involved and just watching men's volleyball. They don't give a shit. Right. And this is something that I've heard now time and time again, like Ariel Houlihan voices this as well. And this comes down to women's volleyball players, because once women's volleyball is on the rise, it is happening. Once things once they're big, it is your duty to support men's volleyball.
Yep.
Just like in the exact same way that everyone looks to the NBA players, everyone looks to, everyone looks to the big male players to support the women's sports. In volleyball, it's going to have to be the other way. Yep. And you guys need to start stepping up, because I absolutely guarantee you, you're not I've heard people been like, oh, well, if men's volleyball gets bigger, it's going to take away from women's volleyball. Not anymore. Not anymore. You guys are cooking in your own kitchen. You have your own supply situation, right? So now investing into men's volleyball is only going to make women's volleyball bigger. That's right. That's the only thing that's going to start happening, because you're going to start watching volleyball at these institutions year fucking round.
Yep. Another thing that I've said for a long time is that the gender disparity in the United States for volleyball opportunities, the high school, junior club, and university levels, if the genders were swapped, there would be riots in the streets.
Yes, but it's because Rob, you've made I'm sorry, you've made this argument before and we've gotten backlash before it. So I'm going to cut that off there. Right? No, yes, yes, we care. So right? Because the reality is that it wouldn't be the case flipped around. Right? These things are in place. This is a supply and demand thing, right? There's a reason that most of these schools haven't covered carried men's volleyball, and why most states haven't carried it as the men's. We need to be aware that we are viewed as a women's sport, right? And this as much as I you've grown up within this sport. I guarantee you that you've told someone at college when you were in Purdue that you played volleyball, and they go, volleyball? Right? So let's stop acting like it should be equal, because it's never been treated equal, and it is just the reality of it.
Oh,
right. We picked, and the reality of it too, as men, the majority of us picked volleyball because we kind of sucked at the other sports.
That's
right.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, I played other sports at a high level, and then I was, on a provincial medaling team, and then played college volleyball.
Yeah,
right.
I chose volleyball because I liked it the most, and I thought that it was the best, and I thought that it was the best for me.
But that's what I'm saying.
I still think it's the best on-court product in all of sports, and I think that it gives so much to the people that play it, and that is why it's so painful for me for news like this to happen, because it is such a tremendous uphill battle to get anything done in men's volleyball in this country. The First Point Foundation has done amazing work, at like life-changing work for many. There are entire university conferences that exist because of the First Point Volleyball Foundation. There are boys in states, in high schools across the country who know what volleyball is now because their high school has a team and they
100%.
can play now in places that they could not, like when I was growing up. That's awesome. Arizona is not one of those states. Arizona is a damn good volleyball state. They had it all. They had great boys high school scene. They had a great boys junior club scene. They have very good NAIA universities. There are several like pretty good NAIA schools you can play at in Arizona. There are 3 very good men's club teams: Arizona, Arizona State, and GCU, who I assume is about to get a lot better. The adult scene in Arizona is very good. The pinnacle of all of that was GCU. That was the beacon in the middle of the Valley of the Sun that kids growing up could see. They've seen it. They could go to the games. They could have something to aspire to. They had a chance to play great volleyball at home, and that was just taken away from them. And that's what hurts the most, is because it's so hard to build.
Don't make this an equality conversation.
It's not. I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. It's so hard to build in men's volleyball because of the barriers that are there. It takes a split second to tear something away. And that's what this boneheaded administration at GCU just did.
Yeah. I mean, it's just once again a reminder that no one gives a shit about volleyball. And yeah, like especially men's volleyball, right? Like no one gives a shit about men's volleyball in the United States. And the reason that no one gives a shit about men's volleyball is because our own fans don't even give a shit about men's volleyball. How many of those club like players or like university guys have ever like watched that stuff, right? So there needs to be something different. And I'm sorry, but you guys need to stop whining about the NCAA and not giving you guys your flowers and your opportunities, because that's going to happen, and create your own, like do something on your own with it. Because like the NCAA is not there. Like the NCAA is like, if they don't give a shit about their athletes and how they're like being promoted and how they're being like taught at like for football and like basketball, do you think they give a shit about volleyball? Right? Like USA Volleyball, not USA Volleyball, the entity, but American Volleyball, it needs to come together behind all of this and do something with it. I think you're right. Like First Point has been doing incredible things. And there's still so much there to grow, but it's not going to happen if you guys aren't like have a united front about this.
That for sure. The American volleyball fan needs to be better, and we need to support it more. That comes from the women's side. That comes from everywhere, without question. The growth efforts are there. It's just frustrating that there are barriers that are not within our control that are set up to prevent the growth of men's volleyball. There are so many things that we cannot do about that. We cannot convince an NCAA Division I institution to start a men's volleyball program because it's not profitable for them and because they can't do it because of Title IX.
No, but you can pack a gym to watch it and be like, oh, maybe this is profitable. Maybe this is a way to get our.
We can and must start to do that.
Yes.
But even if we can do that, let's say Purdue, for example. Let's say Purdue sees that, because Purdue women's volleyball sells out every game. They have great volleyball culture. Let's say they see that, say, you know what I think would do really well at this university? A men's volleyball team. Then they go and look at their numbers of how many men's sports they have, how many women's sports they have, and the conversation ends right there, because there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, I do. Like, just when you get into the conversation of Title IX, like once again, that's something that we don't really have here in Canada. Just because, we believe in equality. It's one of our base beliefs. That's why the Conservatives lost last night. So like, it's not, I don't know if we even have like a certain type of like regulation within that. Like, I just know schools who have that like thought process of like, if I'm going to bring on a men's team, like I need to bring on a women's team. If I'm wrong on that, someone tell me in the chat or the comments or something afterwards. But like it just comes back to me. Wait, what were we talking about again? I just completely lost while watching Perugia in the beginning of the second set.
I don't care about what Perugia and
Yeah.
Piacenza are doing. This is a terrible decision that will have massive effects on men's volleyball that nobody who has been fighting so hard for this sport asked for or deserves. I feel terrible for the players. I feel terrible for the coaches, the players that had committed to GCU, the players that are currently on the GCU team who now have to transfer or who even knows what. It is horrible. It is a terrible decision. The decision does not make any sense for the reasons that we talked about. And the things that are out there right now to do, one, my good friend Matt August, who was an assistant coach at Grand Canyon last year, started a petition just yesterday on change.org. There's already, I think, 15,000 signatures on it. I'll make sure we put that in the video description. You all need to fill that out. This is step one of volleyball fans in America acting upon something. It costs you nothing. You need to click. You need to fill out a couple boxes of information, and you need to sign that thing. You have to do that. It costs you nothing. It's very important that you do that. There's a fundraiser available as well. But here's the thing. I don't know if I even want. I don't know if throwing money at this will solve the problem. I don't know where the money goes. I also don't know if Grand Canyon University even deserves a men's volleyball program at this point. Grand Canyon men's volleyball became legitimately nationally great in spite of the university and the athletic department. That's very clear by Matt Worley's midseason departure, that he was getting no support whatsoever from his own athletic department. I don't know if Grand Canyon, like the players, the fans, the coaches, and the alumni deserve that program. The university does not deserve that program. I don't.
Are we in a position though to pick and choose?
No, I'm sure that we're not. But like, even if this program were to be saved, if people were to come together and save it, what makes you think that anything is going to be different according to the university? That's what's scary to me, is like, because we don't know why it was really cut in the first place. Like Stanford, that one I get. The University of Pacific in like 2014 or 15, whenever that was,
14.
I get that one as well. Those were rationalized. And then Stanford has the endowment and the elitely wealthy and successful alumni base. They were able to come in and save it. And it wasn't like the athletic department was working against those programs. GCU's athletic department is working against this program. I think if they were able to miraculously save this thing, I don't know if it lasts another 2 years. So that's really scary.
That's the thing too. Like it kind of reminds me of a situation where like a company is going, out of business, and they have a clearance sale, and they do so well with their clearance sale that it like gives them a little bit of life, and like, don't worry, we're not actually going out of business. And they're coming back from it. Like, once again, that I just think that this is just another wake-up call that there needs to be a fundamental change within American volleyball and American men's volleyball specifically. That there needs to be a coming together within the community, because the community is so scattered and so apart right now. And there's nothing to come to bring you all together. Like I love U Sport Nationals because it doesn't really matter that it's a national championship. Like, it feels like a Canadian volleyball celebration, and everyone's there, and everyone's giving each other love and stuff like that. And I always love that it's a great celebration. I've never been to the NCAA Final Four. I don't know if it has the same emotional value. So like, you'll have to tell me that.
It doesn't. I was there last year. It doesn't feel the same way because it's so difficult for teams to get there, and it's so not representative of the entire country. So like events like junior boys nationals, when it used to be unified, which currently it's not, that's another conversation. College club nationals, adult open indoor nationals, things like WAPACA, things like Manhattan Beach 6-man, like these events do feel like
this is exactly what I mean, is that there's like there's these different volleyball cultures that don't help each other and don't support each other.
They
Like the
don't have,
same amount of people, like the same people who go to like Wapaka and like Six Man and stuff like that, a lot of the time aren't the ones who are supporting like the NCAA and
right.
stuff like
That's because the fans are bad. They would rather play volleyball than watch volleyball. They don't support it. And then when they have an opportunity to support it, they refuse to pay any money for it. That's a massive issue. But another massive issue is just that there just aren't any options. There's just nothing out there. The NCAA is so limited. There's nothing out there. If you're from 45 states in the union, you don't even have a team in your state that you can root for. Even if you have good, like Wisconsin is a great example. Wisconsin is a fantastic volleyball state. They are
that. Is it?
producing, yes, fantastic, especially on the boys' side. Their boys junior club scene and high school scene is amazing. They are sending athletes to every good university, but there literally is not a Division I team in that state that they can root for. They don't have a place that they can go to a game locally that they can
How
then
many schools
see.
are how many schools are in Wisconsin though?
What, universities?
Yeah. Really?
Dozens and dozens. Oh my God, yes. The University of Wisconsin system alone has double digits. It's not that dissimilar from the University of California system. There's that many different campuses. Like Wisconsin Madison, the main one, puts
This is
10,000 people at volleyball games and are a national championship contender.
yeah, but I fully understand like Madison, Wisconsin being like the one good
Yeah.
one. But like you're telling me that there's enough people in Wisconsin, or like is the university system also for the sheep there? Like I'm not.
Oh, for there's lots of levels to it, but there are plenty of D1 schools. Marquette in Milwaukee is a really good school. UW Milwaukee, like, we don't need to get into the details of Wisconsin, but if you're a boys volleyball player in Wisconsin, it's not like you even have something that you can see, that you can aspire to. It's not there. It doesn't exist. You play high school, and then there's nothing that you can do within your own state because the opportunity isn't there. So that's the part that sucks. Is like, even when the people do the thing that we're asking them to do and care and go and participate and even spend some money, there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to watch. There's nothing to do in so many cases. And that limitation comes at the NCAA level. And so now the entire state of Arizona just lost their light on top of the hill. They lost that thing that they can shoot for. And now the entire state of Arizona is going to become the state of Wisconsin because they have great volleyball players and nothing that can retain them there and continue to build because Grand Canyon's gone. It is heartbreaking.
There needs to be some type of coming together for boys and men's volleyball in the United States. My suggestion would be just to get behind First Point. Like First Point is that they are doing that work. And I think honestly what hurts so much about the fact that losing programs like Pacific and Cal Baptist and stuff like that sucks. Like, don't get me wrong, that sucks. But when you're looking at the quality of that program and what Matt Worley had done over there and you know how good they were becoming in a non-traditional volleyball state. I know that they have good numbers, but like, name me one really good player from Arizona.
JT Hatch, Zach Rama, like there are a bunch of kids playing high level D1 right now that are from Arizona.
Yeah, okay, but like
Whatever.
me as like it's not going to be there. But also when it comes that all of this grassroots movement has been doing good, when you look at the amount of schools that have started or states that have started taking boys volleyball on at the high school level, kind of since 2018 is phenomenal. So I think that this, just like if you're listening to this right now and you've got money, like look up First Point Foundation. Like if you have things to be able to offer them, look up First Point Foundation. And if you're Wade Gerard and you happy to listen to this, like fucking bear down and go harder on it.
Yeah.
Right? Like go in even harder on this because you're having the effect on like the bottom levels and it's only going to get bigger. And then schools like GC are going to realize how much they fucked up.
I wish that were true.
Yeah, I know. I'm speaking
it's not true because the First Point Foundation is having the success and the impact at every level where that impact is possible. High school, the number of states that have added boys high school volleyball in the last 10 years is really a game changer for our sport in our country, and that is all great work from First Point. The number of NAIA let me finish. The NAIA program growth, tremendous. NAIA men's volleyball is a big deal now because it can be. Schools can add it because they can. There's nothing at the institutional level stopping them, and it helps get more students in the door. So at universities that are that small, that's why they're doing it. Same with at the NCAA Division III level. You can pop up more programs now because they can, and it's good for the university to guarantee another 25 students. So that's
So
great.
this is
But
exactly
at the
go ahead.
Division II, even the SEAC conference, the NEC, the Conference Carolinas, those didn't exist 10 years ago because schools that didn't have football were convinced and endowed by the First Point Foundation to start these programs.
I get your point. You just got to take the highway there, not the scenic road.
It's not possible at the Division I level.
So this
It's
is
not
exactly
possible.
what I was going to be saying. Does men's volleyball come into a situation where, like, you know what? If you are a Penn State, if you're a UCSC, if you're a UCLA, we love having you. We love having you be here. But as First Point, don't focus on the D1 teams, right? Like, is it possible? Do you think it's possible to create, especially when you look at the landscape of what the NCAA might be in 5 to 10 years? When you look at
The
how
NCAA might not
when you look
exist in 5 years.
exactly, this is exactly what I'm saying with you. When you look at how NIL is changing the landscape altogether in the NCAA. Women's volleyball is a much different sport, But if the AVCA, maybe First Point Foundation, were to come in and, like, what if there was like a secondary championship amongst all these teams, amongst the NIAs, amongst the Division twos, amongst the Division threes, like if there was something apart from it to be like, this is the AVCA volleyball championship. NCAA teams are allowed, NAI teams are allowed. Like, there is just, like they figure out, and this is what we're going to get behind.
I'm in
Because
on that.
because there's a twofold conversation here when you talk about this national championship as well, right? Is that one, you have the big teams who are going to crush the little teams, but then you have all of these little teams who doesn't really mean much for them to go to nationals, right? Like a national, like a trip to nationals is different. I'll call it the tournament to make it you guys, but like if you're one of these teams and you're just going there for a one and done, it's a 1-2-3 barbecue, it's a 1-2 barbecue, like it's really not that good. It's like the shitty teams who should be playing in the CEV Cup who are playing in Champions League, right? Can we have a situation here where the institutions are just supporting this stuff, and the teams and programs are still bringing value to the institutions, but you start maybe pushing that focus a little away from the NCAA? Like, I'm just spitballing here.
So I think it's a fantastic idea and a fantastic conversation. I don't know the details of like the rules of the NCAA or any potential consequences there could be there, but because of all the chaos that's going on in the NCAA right now as an institution, there is a very real chance that entire institution doesn't exist in a decade. And then everything's different. I mean, already they're capping rosters at 18 next year, and that's going to change everything as well. That everything is changing. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. In a way, the NCAA is not totally to blame for some of the things that are changing right now, because they've gotten all their old regulations sued out of them by antitrust lawsuits. So like right now, the NCAA controls less than they ever have.
Yeah, so that's
on the men's
volleyball
side, they are still very much to blame for stifling the growth of it. Like the easiest example is the official NCAA men's volleyball social media account hasn't posted in 2 years.
Yeah, that's the easy one. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's absolutely.
But so this is what I'm saying though, right? Is that if this institution that runs everything isn't going to give you guys the support and what you need, maybe that's time for like a USAV or maybe like a First Point or another entity that has yet to become to kind of step in there and be like, no, we're gonna
doing something else,
and we're gonna do something else.
I love the idea. I think it's similar to when like USA Volleyball, the organization USA Volleyball, they're in big trouble right now on the junior boys side because they had the monopoly on junior boys nationals, and there was no alternative, and it wasn't a good enough experience. And then AAU came in and said, what if we created an alternative experience that was better? And all the good clubs said, peace out, USAV. We have an alternative option. We're going to take it. It's similar to that. And if somebody were to create that and figure out a way to make it profitable, then I support it already. I support the idea of it, and I want to be involved in it 100%.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, like, seems like Matt Houlihan is like the smartest fucking person in volleyball. Maybe he does something, because like I did prep for this show by listening to the coaches podcast.
Yeah,
So
they got on the mic yesterday or today about it.
yeah,
Yeah, this is really bad. Who knows what the hell's going on in the long term, but in the near term for men's volleyball in my country, this is really, really bad. And I again want to apologize and support everybody in the Grand Canyon, players, coaches, alumni, recruits, fans, of which there are many, employees, whatever. None of you deserve this, and your university sucks. And nobody should ever support Grand Canyon University athletics in any way. Nobody should, be aware of the fact that Grand Canyon University is a publicly traded company, and you can do with that information whatever you want. But this sucks. It's really sad in a time when we should be celebrating NCAA men's volleyball with the tournament coming up, and instead we have to have all these conversations, and this one about GCU. It's brutal.